I joined Dharma now, I think 3.5 years back. We released, I was with Jungli earlier, where we released Bareli Ki Barfi, and Razi was in production, co-production. Razi was between Dharma and Jungli, as in my ex-company and present company. I joined, Karan's idea was, Dharma is known for a certain kind of cinema, larger than life, romantic, family drama, big stars. And his idea was the way the things are changing, the way narratives are changing. We should not be looking at only one kind of movies. The idea is to branch out and get a different sensibility and do, of course, within the confines of mainstream space, but how can we expand the space? So then that's why I came in, and the idea was to do various kind of movies. The Dharma has not explored the space that much, and Karan's vision was that every director that we launches should not be a copy of Karan, the kind of films that he has made. Everyone should come with their voice. Just to give an example, if you see the forthcoming Gunjan Saksena's trailer, it doesn't look like any Dharma film at all. Of course, there's no love story, there's no hero. It's a female-led story. Again, it's a very personal journey. So the idea is to branch out. So when I meant by bridging the gap, I come from a complete outside perspective, and Karan is, of course, in confines, somebody who has grown up, born and brought up in the industry, and the kind of sensibility he has and the kind of cinema sensibility I have is to merge the two and get the space, bridge the space. And what I meant by Versova is Andheri West is like a hotbed for film professionals. Versova, I mean, we all hate to use the word struggler, but people who are trying to make in the industry, who are, who have come up, writers, directors, various professionals. The Versova is a place where most of the people are very easy to meet. Is the first spot for everyone, because Andheri West, between Bandra and Andheri, film industry is confined between the offices. Most of them are in Andheri. So the idea was to get the talent that Dharma had not worked earlier with, and it needed an access. I tell all the writers and the directors that I got a foot in the door. Now our aim is to break the door open. So all the writers that we are working with right now, none of them have written a film with Dharma before. So the idea is to find those talents, those who have not worked in Dharma before. Not only that, but to look out for talent that we have not explored before, to collaborate with them, to look for stories which we have not done. So that's what I meant by bridging the gap, to go, because Dharma has a certain kind of image, that big production house, people are not allowed, and this and that, how to treat. So it was also about breaking that perception that, okay, I'm there, pass me the baton, I'll go in. Dharma also made a film like Kapoor and Sons, which is not at all Dharma. We also tried, but there was a film by Sonam Nair called, I'm forgetting the name of the film, that didn't do that well, but of course there was an attempt in that direction. Gippy, yeah.
Gippy, sorry. Yeah.
Or if you see Wake Up Sid, so whenever there's a director who comes with a different voice, or a Razi even, so these films, the idea is to evolve with the storytelling direction. The idea is to evolve with the times and not remain. And the way the cinema changes, the way people are consuming content from all over the world in our OTTs, I think the taste is also gradually changing. The more you watch on Netflix, Amazon, Hotstar, shows and films coming from, now it's at the click of your button. Earlier we had to go search, download, torrent, call this person, call that. Now you don't have to do those things. So we all believe that the taste changes accordingly. The more you consume, the more you are open to the ideas. So I think 2.0 is a gradual progression as we go along, and it will reflect in the kind of films that we are doing currently. We did a horror film recently also, Bhoot, which we expected to do much better than what you did, but we're quite happy with it that, okay, we're trying the horror. Dharma had done one horror long back, which of course we're not happy with it. So we said, okay, let's do a better VFX with it. So the idea is to gradually keep on telling stories within the confines of mainstream space, but how to branch out and how to explore that. And in the next, this year and the forthcoming slate, you will see that changes as we go along. So for students or anyone film professional, our submission process is very open for everyone. There's an email ID called scripts, SCRIPTS @ dharma-production.com. I'll send it to you. I'll WhatsApp you. So we ask everyone that just send an email saying that I'm interested in pitching a story. What is the submission norm? We ask for the log line and the basic story, and then we send an NDA form, which is a basically record that you have sent a story to us, a record for you, record for us, and then we ask for the story. So it's an open process, and we are open to reading everything. A lot of times, what happens, you might not like the story or the script, but if your writing is good, we put you on your record. Oh, this guy is good. This story was in thriller space. Maybe we can explore the writer in thriller space. So we do that as well. So we are open to reading every kind of thing. But the way right now, as you said, correctly said, that things keep on changing. So the idea is now to look for stories which has a big novelty in it, which has not been explored. Like to give another example is good news for those who have seen. The idea only jumps out on you. It's about a cross pregnancy, two couples getting pregnant with each other's kids. So the idea is original, and there's a huge novelty factor to it. Right now, the way audience is perceiving the cinema is, oh, is there something new? Is the story new? It's similar to one film that I did in Jungli called Badhai Ho. It's about mom getting pregnant and how the family was fully awkward about it. It was inspired by a real life story that happened in my school. So the idea is to explore those stories, but in mainstream space. And if the film has a novelty factor, we will chase behind you. You don't need to chase us. Right now, everyone is looking for content. Everyone is looking for new writers, people with talent. So anyone who is talented, who can write, every day I get more calls for people looking for people, the right kind of people, which I sure can also tell you, we have been in the industry for a long time. Like 5 years back, this wasn't the case. But the kind of OTT has come, the kind of film shows, there's a huge demand for people. And anyone who is a good writer, anyone who can write, they all are busy. I don't know anyone who is free right now. They are all juggling multiple things, like 2 films, 2 series. Like everyone, any writer that I like, I would like them to repeat, they don't have the time right now. So anyone who's a new writer who can write well, who understands the medium, who knows storytelling, who knows the difference between a film or series, he'll be lapped up and out. One big difference I find personally, and I think most of us would agree that OTT doesn't have lot of limitations in terms of the kind of content, in terms of duration, in terms of I don't want to put songs, so they're okay with that. In terms of, so it frees you in a lot of ways in terms of censorship. I'm guessing just yesterday I was reading a report. I'm guessing everyone is adult here, so I can share the report. There's a website which sells sex toys in India, which is legal. So it's called That's Personal. And they put out their annual data yesterday, and they said how lust stories led to more women searching for sex toys, and that was 54% spike in searches and sales. So a story like lust stories, Karan can never, and we could have never done for mainstream cinema. Women using a sex toys, orgasm. I mean, mainstream cinema is a no. But because it's an OTT medium, Netflix, and the actress is open, and if it's done in an aesthetic way, it frees you in terms of your thought process, what you can do in terms of the limit of the duration, a half hour, 40 minutes. Like most of the shows, they're open. It can be 20 minutes, it can be 30, it can be 40, it can be 45. One episode can be 40, another can be 42. So I think that is a big difference. I don't need to use song. On theatrical, for me, the pressure is to get the weekend numbers, which is a huge pressure. How to make it more commercial, how to make it more mainstream, because you have put 30, 40, 50, 80 crore on a film. I need to recover the money the fastest. The weekend pressure is there. In digital is exactly the opposite. The conversation starts post-release. It's not about the opening weekend, but how people see the film and then they start talking about it. It's not the pre-release, the madness. So there's a huge, these two are the big difference in terms of what kind of content and how we treat the platforms. Yeah, it is, Boulder is one, but not necessarily, I'll say Boulder is the only route to take. To give example of, suppose, like if you see a show like Mrs. Maisel on Amazon Prime, 1950s woman stand-up comedian, New York, with all the colorful thing that could have been a theatrical film, but in shows you get to explore much more. In terms of content, for what we define, films are about plot. Mainstream films, when I'm talking about, shows are about characters. So it's one season, two season, three season. The characters need and their world needs to get you in there. So in terms of content, Boulder is one aspect of it, which of course we all will bite into it, because we have, in mainstream cinema there's a censor board. In OTT still we don't have. I'm guessing government will bring it so soon. Like you see a Sacred Games or a Mirzapur, or even a Four More Shots, everything is pushing the envelope a little bit. The kind of things that can be done. So Boulder is of course one criteria. The second, third criteria will be the kind of content, in terms of duration, in terms of the kind of things that has not been explored. A lot of things needs a much longer time rather than just 2 hours. It's not just plot driven, but you want to explore the character, the world, and much more, and go into that atmosphere. I would not suggest that you pick up something just because you are specializing in this. I think it's about once you have seen everything, done everything, it's about evaluating what you want to say, what you want to tell. Especially first, second film should always come from something that inspired you, your life, or something, a story that you are passionate about. It can be short film, it can be long format, or if you think there's a series idea in you, please explore that. So, don't restrict yourself. I would suggest that. There are great first stories, first films, first shows. So I never suggest somebody that, okay, do this or do that. See what you feel comfortable about, and always share it with your peer group, with your friends, close friends who you trust, whose creative instinct you trust, because those are the first people who will tell you honestly, oh, this is what is this good, this is not good, which I think is very important, either when you're entering the industry or outside the industry. The peer factor is very important. Your friends are very important in the industry, to keep a reality check that, okay, maybe you are worth it, maybe you're not even worth it. Maybe you're thinking you're great, but you're not really great. Maybe your strength lies somewhere else. Or maybe you're thinking, oh, you're not that good, but really you're that good, because somebody needs to pack you up and say, oh, no, you should pursue this. So I would not restrict people saying, okay, try this or try, but be open to whatever you feel like writing, or whatever triggers inside you.
See, I think it is the idea which decides that whether it has a potential to be a feature film, or whether it has a potential to be a web series or a short film or whatever. So anybody, my advice for the students would be that if you have a certain idea which you want to make it into a film, you have to explore and see the potential that where it fits in. There are at times certain great ideas, but as a feature film, they don't work. They don't have that kind of drama, and you cannot stretch it for a feature length. So I think you can make a short film out of it. So, and also there are certain kind of subjects where you know that you cannot, like for example, if it is a niche film, in today to make a pan-Indian film, so even if you make a 3 crore film, to take it into theaters, you need to put 6 crores more. So you're talking about 9 to 10 crores.
Yeah.
But such kind of films can be made on digital platform where your landing cost will be marketing, publicity, and everything will be cut off. But in my days when we were assisting, the salaries of assistant directors used to be like peanuts, very less, and we did not have much of technology. But today, people are making movies on iPhone or whatever. So it's a great opportunity what today's generation has to just go out there, and there are editing softwares available and everything which you can everything have it on a laptop and make your own movie, a short film, which will help when you are pitching it to a producer or an actor or whatever. They know that, okay, this man knows his job, or he is well versed with his basic craft.
And as Aisho said, to add to that, now there's YouTube, Vimeo, you just put your film there. If it's good, it will get noticed. Now it's much easier. You shoot on your phone, edit on your editing software that you can download, put it on YouTube, people will watch it. And the short film is always a good beginning for anybody who wants to get into films. If somebody is a writer, he should write, she should write. Somebody is a director, the person directs, the producer produces. that's how I think film school should mentor people to, okay, let's start with the short, you know.
Well, I would like to talk about something like Andhadhun. We all know that it is basically a French,
Yeah.
French short film. Okay. So what I'm talking about, if you have a very good idea, see, short film, what it has is it hits you with its very idea. Okay, in a short film, you don't dwell too much about the drama beneath, what is hidden, the conflicts, inner conflicts. There's not much space. You deal with a certain theme, the idea, and you hit it sharp. Okay, so that you need to decipher, saying that कि, okay, यही idea है, ये feature भी बन सकता है, लेकिन अगर इसको short करना है, okay, what is it which is very impactful about it that I can communicate in 5 minutes or 10 minutes? And if it works, you can probably explore it like Andhadhun, what they have done to that 15-minute short film, and they made a fantastic film out of it.
And you know,
because he was able to see so much potential in the 10-15-minute short film, the writers and the director of Andhadhun.
Yeah. And to add to that, in the West, in Hollywood, even in Europe, there are a lot of examples of films which were earlier short film, which did great in festival circuit. Some studio picked it up and then they asked the producers, okay, but do you think it can be made into feature? So that has also happened in a lot of films. I'm forgetting some of the titles, but if one Googles, there was that horror film, Martha, Marcy, May, Marley. I mean, that was the title I'm saying, I think. I'll just check. So that was I remember that was a short film. And then similarly, some of the horror films, you know, because horror is very easy to do in 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Some of the horror films did very well. And then the director got picked up by the studio and was asked if we can convert into feature. So even if you have a feature, try to see, okay, can this idea be explored in short? And there are immense examples of shorts which went on to become feature because the shorts did very well, you know.
Completely agree with what you are saying, that especially in today's students or today's generation, they just want to pass out from a film institute, and maybe after one film, they just want to go there and direct a film. Which I think for some people it might work, because if you are very confident about your story and you know you have a clear-cut vision about the story that you want to say, it's fine. It might work for few people, but again, it is a mix of a lot of things, of finding a producer, finding a funding, getting a right actor on board, and all these things do take time. Some people might be very well connected, some people might have to find their own way. And also what happens is, see, when we talk about the learning curve, as you say that directing, it's got to do with, there are 24 crafts involved in a film. And somebody who is not getting an opportunity to direct a film, my always their advice would be that keep working more. If you want to switch department, switch. It's okay, because eventually, tomorrow when you are writing or directing or whatever, all these things are going to come handy. Even if you work on a film, like there are some directors, those who have made their first film and they have no experience of editing. They just sit there in front of the editor, completely lost, saying that, you know, okay, now you edit it. Okay. Of course, it's an editor's job, but what is that perspective, or what is that addition that you are, value addition that you are bringing to your technicians?
Yeah.
It's only when you know their language a little bit, you can communicate it to them in their language. Like how you talk to a DOP, only then when you know that, you know, how a DOP's mind functions, there is a way to communicate a particular shot to a DOP. You cannot just keep reciting your script 100 times, which he knows. So people go on talking about the obvious thing, but only when you know what it is, you can communicate it effectively. So I think that it is all a process. It's a learning thing. like you work on one film, two film, three. See, it is not about some people. They learn the process of filmmaking in and out after assisting two, three films. And not everybody is a genius. For some, it takes five. So self-assessment is a very important thing, that where you stand. Some people learn. Some people learn over the time. It doesn't see, in a class of 60, not everybody gets first rank. Somebody gets fifth, somebody gets 10th. किसी को time ज़्यादा लगता है समझने में. Some people have geniuses. They just first film, they come, boom, they get it. Just that's it. Some people don't get it. Like we talk about fantastic filmmakers. This filmmaker Anubhav Sinha. You see his previous work and you see his work now. The 2.0 version.
Yes.
Now what is that? It comes after a certain kind of journey what he has made. It didn't come to him. And even if you talk about a filmmaker like Anurag Basu, Murder, Saya, and some other film, and suddenly he makes Metros, Barfis.
Yes.
So somewhere some people find their craft, their voice or whatever after 2-3 films, and there are some fantastic filmmakers, those who are right from first film. So I think self-assessment is the key, and do not believe that always. Don't live under this cocoon and a myth that you are a genius and the world is being unfair to you and not giving you an opportunity. So
Those
if you
days are
humble
gone.
you, huh?
Those days are gone.
So you keep working, keep doing this, doing that, doing that.
Yeah.
Eventually, when you know that you are passionate and you want to make a movie, that day will come again when you get everything right and you get that opportunity. And then what are you there? What have you done all these years?
Also, to add to that, not to demoralize or demotivate anyone, but it's been my experience and talking to friends who are in LA. And now of course it can cut down, but my experience and people from across in any industry, it's either, I tell everyone, it's either 10 years or 10 scripts. That much it takes. So there is no, because it's not a medium where you just sign up, get a job, next day you join. Of course, you'll be in the industry, you'll do various things to understand, of course, one is learning the craft of it. The other is the work experience of how industry works. How do you deal, as Aishwarya was talking about it, how do you deal with the talent? How do you manage things? How do things move from one place to another? How does things get greenlit? What is the budget of it? How does that gets approved? So I have seen immense number of people, friends, 20, 30, 40, who all, we were struggling to make a mark. We were on the fringe of the industry. So it takes 10 years or 10 scripts to break into it. If you're smarter, if you're intelligent, maybe 5 years, maybe 2 years, maybe one film, that will also happen. But I'm talking about an average, that much it takes to know people. The most important thing is to know people, to know 5 DPs, and then you can select one who will work with you. To know 5 sound guys or 5 music guys, it takes time to build those relationships, So that is very key. It's an industry which is run by friendship, relationship, and knowing people, because filmmaking is a collaborative job. It's not an individual job like a painting or writing a book, playing some instrument or singing. Those are individual arts that you can do in the confines of your home. But filmmaking is a collaborative job. So it needs that experience and that relationship. And that is very key to get the right kind of people, to get the right kind of energy that you believe in to make the film. So I think that many years or that many scripts lag jata hai. That is basic criteria, that the person has to be collaborative, because that will make his film better. If the person is not collaborative and you're not open to ideas, some people are very strict and rigid, more or less they will realize tomorrow, unless you're a genius, you know what you want and you go for it and you want people to believe in the vision. That also happens. A lot of people are geniuses. I'm not denying that, and they know clearly that even 100 people will say, no, this is wrong, this is wrong. They will prove that all of them are wrong once they deliver the film. But filmmaking is a collaborative medium, and it always becomes better, I have realized, with feedback, with people's participation, with collaboration. But when we launch a filmmaker, of course, one is talent, the script, and the vision of the director. That is the most important thing. How do you see the film? What are you trying to say? Where are you placing the film? Because reading things on paper is one thing, converting the words into what you think on screen and getting that emotion and feelings is a completely different thing. So that vision, that passion, those passion and vision. These are the two key important things. Apart from, of course, we are hoping it's a great script. And I mean, if you're not collaborative, you can't be handling the actors. Actors needs to be handled like kids. Their egos are as big as you can imagine. Any actor anywhere in the world, any star, doesn't matter. You need to handle people. Otherwise, there's no way you can survive this industry. You have to treat them like they are the best thing that has happened on this planet Earth, the best thing that have been walking on this planet Earth. Everyone needs to be told that. Otherwise, films won't happen.
See, first to begin with, I would like to say for both films had stars. Okay, one Upiri had Nagarjuna sir and Maharshi had Mahesh. So, writing a film or making a film with a star itself comes with a lot of weight and pressure, because they have a certain image, they have a very strong fan base. And when you make a film with these actors, there is a certain kind of budget, monies, which are involved. So you have to take that film to a larger audience. Okay? So even if you are making, like, for example, let me start with something like an Upiri. Upiri is far more difficult to make, to write and to make, in spite of it being an adaptation of a French film. Because our audiences are different.
Yes.
Okay, our sensibilities are different. The idiom of our filmmaking is different. And I don't know who that actor is, what his stardom there is. Here I know that Nagarjuna sir has a huge fan base. And Karthi, the Tamil actor, has a huge fan base. And these are the films which are going to be viewed in ABC centers or whatever. People would like to come and watch the stars movies in the theaters. So now you try to say that, okay, well, listen, is this conflict way too subtle, or is it way too high funda? How do we just, without compromising on the sensibility or the soul of the film, how do we bring it to a Sandhya theatre or a single screen? And yet not compromising on the sensibilities and the soul of the movie. So that is a very edgier balance, because you don't have an action sequences, you don't have this masala duets or whatever. And that films are very, see, fans do it. Like yesterday, I was on a recce. Amidst this pandemic, suddenly I get some phone call. I say, who is this? He says, sir, I am Nagarjuna Fans Association president from Anantapur. I said, okay. He said, listen, sir, I want to know that is our film teaser going to release in October. So I said, okay, call me in 15 days, we'll talk. Because a film like Upiri will not have a duet or an action sequence and all these ingredients to make it into a pot boiler. You better make a good film. Because then there is nothing for the fans to look. It's an edgy thing. You better have to make a touching, soulful film that they are okay with it. They say that, yaar, hamare star ne bahut acha kaam kiya, wheelchair pe baith kya kahani bol di. Okay? Otherwise, if the idea is good and film is boring, then it's gone. At least a masala pot boiler will compensate you for some duets, some dancers, some all these things, and where an average film also might sail through.
Please don't change idealism if you want to be like, I mean, keep those idealism intact. Is great to have, at least in student years, when we all believe that we'll change the world. Please go with it. I mean, as the saying goes, let the world change you first, then you change the world. It's good to have ideals.
See, you don't need to, what I meant was, you don't need to compromise on your idealism, but you need to, along, when you are more working in the industry, you would know that where to push your envelope, you know that where to create a sense of balance. And you can still do it being idealistic.
I think, it's about you biting the bullet that you think is worth it. Because, I'll give my example. I used to be very dismissive of mainstream films. I used to run a blog called Fight Up, which was mostly for pro indie films, festival films. talk about those films as much as I love them, but also it's important to do good work in mainstream space. And that space was always, I used to think, oh, why are these films getting greenlit and why are not better films? So the idea is to change the system from inside. So I still get a lot of abuses from people, from fans, from friends who used to love the blog. Oh, he has joined Dharma and Karan, he's sucking up to the big guys and all. I don't go and fight them out. I said it's okay. Well, let people assume what they assume. But hopefully, once they see Gunjan Saxena, they'll appreciate what I'm doing. Because they said, oh, when they saw Talwar, they're like, oh, that is a very good film. They still talk about it. Or a Razi. So I said, it's important to change things from inside. From outside, we all can shout and that this is bad, that is not working. But okay, then what is working? Why don't you make it happen? That is always the question. So please have those great thought processes, those idealism, and please see what route takes you, because this is industry is not like a maths formula that 2 plus 2 has to be 4. It can be 2 plus 2, 200, 2000. You will find your way. You will find your route. You'll figure it out. Like there's a friend who we used to interact earlier. Lord Chaitanya Tamhane. He's a young filmmaker who made Court, which did the festival round. He found his own way. He has done a second film called The Disciple, which is just premiering in Venice or Berlin, one of the films. So, he was dismissive of every kind of films, but he had high expectations for himself, and he managed to deliver that. In his first film, which won big awards at the film festival, and then he assisted Curon in a mentorship program. He was chosen by it. So, he picked a way and he managed to do it, which none of us have done. And I'm in Dharma. So I'm saying people will find their way in what suits you best, because with age and experience, you realize that you need to figure the chart your own way. So, there's no point restricting yourself ki yahi hoga, or this is the only way out, and that is the only way out. Like Aishar was doing in Hindi films, then he went down south, then he's doing films there. So I don't think there's nothing written in stone. Things keep on changing. Films keep on changing, norms keep on changing. So I don't see any kind of restriction in that.
So more or less they're the same. But the only thing is, since the
working culture different, I'm guessing working culture will be slightly different. No.
No. The working culture also, see, the only major difference which is within there is there are a lot of studio setups there. Studio setups in the sense there are studios who are producing it. So what happens is, like for a studio, I'm not generalizing that there might be an exception of few studios, but you lock the script and then basing on that script, there is a requirement of XYZ which is given to the director, and once it's approved, they don't leave you a much margin to improvise, because everything has got to do with approvals, this, that, unless and until there are some filmmakers like Anurag Kashyap and all those who, make a film in their own way. But whereas in Telugu film industry, it's far more intimate, because there is still not these corporates or whatever pretty much involved. So that while performing or somewhere, suddenly an actor might say that, hey, listen, this thing is quite working out. What do you think that if we have a scene proceeding after this, something like that? And a producer or a director and actor, they sit, they jab, and they say, look, I think we should do it. So the calls are taken just then and there. Okay. So, and it is also good because a film is a living thing till the time it's out into the theaters. There is this thing of improvisations. It might come from anybody, from a director, producer, actors, or whatever. But whereas in Hindi, you see at times, currently what the stories, what I hear or whatever, once it is done, frozen or whatever, that is, you're not just making a medical formula, and that after that a medicine is made only by these few ingredients. I do understand that the films are to be treated like a product. There is economics, there is budgets and everything. But the minute the creative aspect out of it takes a back burner, it doesn't work for few people, and for few it works. There are filmmakers, those who work completely on storyboards. And there are some filmmakers, those who just break down their shots right there on the sets. Okay. are supporting the filmmaker to make the film that they want to make. Not only a director, the producer is also a part of the movie making process. Okay, everybody together are making that film. It is not.
That's why that buying into the vision of the person is very important. That what is that person trying to do, or what is the person trying to sell, and how it is doing. I might not feel confident. I should say, oh, I do my short breakdown on set. I'm saying, okay, I've never dealt with him. I don't know how it is, but he knows his job, so maybe he is better at it. Some people like Anurag Kashyap doesn't go to his locations beforehand because he goes fresh. He wants to feel the place, he wants to see the atmosphere, and then he set up his shots. Whereas there are other directors who will go, done everything, Reiki, camera placing, everything, staging of it. So it varies, but who do I trust more? So it's about being also as a producer open to, okay, I trust this director and I trust his vision, so I go with him rather than trying to change things which might not be fruitful to him or for the film. No, actually, big budget film, it becomes little dicey because there's a lot of things at stake, and also a lot of green screen, a lot of chroma, a lot of VFX. Those things, as the saying goes, post what you do in post, do in pre. So the more prepared are you in pre-production, your budgets, your timeline, your expenses, because you have to plan the shoot in pre. Like we have one film going, Brahmastra, which is again a massive film, VFX. So the climax of Brahmastra was the first thing to be shot because that requires more tamjham, more VFX, more preparation. So you prepare it first, then. So the lesser the budget, more free hand you have. The bigger the budget, there are more pressure, and you need to be much more prepared. So on Takht you can't just go on set and say, oh, I want 200 extras today. For 200 extras today, you need to be prepared. What are you going to do? And you need to make sure that the 200 extras are prepared, their costumes are prepared, what kind of song, dance, routine, or a fight sequence. So everything has to be prepared 6 months earlier, So there's a difference when you deal, the bigger you go, the more prepared, of course, you have to be. Unless, there's a big difference there.
It is very important, especially when you're talking about the sequences which involves a lot of VFX and the action sequences. I personally think it is very important. Like I remember in the film which I am directing now, Wild Dog, there is one action sequence, couple of action sequences, and we did a pre-visualization video. Okay, we went to the actual location and we shot. So we just had to spend 1 day or something there. So the actual thing, we ended up shooting it far more in lesser days. Because everybody knew that what we are up to in this location, where the next shot is going to be, what the actor is. The actor just looks at the pre-visualization video, has a discussion with the director, action director, boom, then you're not wasting time there. You're not explaining it to people that what needs to be done. And also when you are doing pre-visualization videos for sequences like this, on that 1 day or 2 day when you're spending the time on pre-visualization, you actually discover that, okay, these are the technical glitches that you might face. These are the problems. This is what the location restrictions are. This is what the light problems would be. So you are properly prepped for the actual shoot, where when you are shooting an action sequence, there are a lot of money is involved. So you're actually saving on your budget, your time and everything. And you're minimizing the risks. There is no trial and error as such. So even for CGI, you cannot overshoot things. You cannot have too much of wastage on CGI because it's a lot of money. So it always helps. For things like drama and all, I don't know how much it will help, because it might get, from a director's point of view, I think it might get very mechanical for the actors and also for the director. Because then you're leaving no scope for spontaneity then and there. Everything becomes very rehearsed.
My advice would be passionate about what you do, because if you're passionate you will survive everything, and there's no shortcut to hard work, passion, and perseverance. I know these are the textbook things that we read and see everything, but that is the reality. I mean, there is no other shortcut, and it takes time. Filmmaking will take time, but have patience. You'll reach where you go. If you're talented, and luck will come to you. But there's no other shortcut. And if you're passionate, you will survive through anything. Because we all say we all love movies, but the thing is, how much are you willing to do for the sake of the love? So I mean, be passionate about what you do, either writing, either direction, music. Go in depth into it as much as you can. The more prepared you are, the better it is. As I said, everything is available on the tip of the finger. You don't even need to move yourself anywhere. Uh, those two, three things. That's it. I mean, rest, everything follows.
Yeah. See, my piece of advice would be, as Soumen said, adding on to that, be extremely passionate, preserve your passion and excitement, because you are going to face so many disappointments that eventually you do not want to be a cynic. So preserve that excitement and passion about filmmaking and be realistic. I remember a long time back, I had met this very ace producer in Telugu film industry. So I had narrated him one script. He said it's good, but it might not work for our Telugu cinema because of XYZ reasons. He said, what are you doing now? I said, nothing, I'm writing. I said, writing for who? He said, writing for myself. Then I said, okay, listen, I like your writing. That's the reason I want to give you your advice. Maybe someday in future we'll collaborate and we'll make a film together. He said, be part of this industry. He said, only if you think that you are talented, how will the industry know? For you, as Soumen said, it is about knowing people. Yeah. You are a part of a project in one way or other. There are 10 people, those who you would end up meeting. And somebody would say that, yeah, I like the way he narrates his story, or I like his vision, I like his passion, okay, or I like his business acumen, or whatever. And otherwise, then you are just in your cocoon saying that, when will the world recognize me? And how will they recognize you if they don't know that you exist? Right. So we constantly keep working till you get big, because in general, unless and until you are a genius or you're extremely lucky or your papa is a very rich guy who can give you money saying that beta picture kar lo, time to lagne wala hai. Jab time lagne wala hai to,
and papa wo paise dene ke baad bhi you can't survive. If you're not talented, you will make one film.
See, that's what I was about to say. Filmon mein hota hai happily ever after. फिल्म इंडस्ट्री वालों के लिए हैप्पीली एवर आफ्टर कुछ नहीं है. आपने पहला पिक्चर दे दिया एज एन एक्टर, एज अ राइटर और एज अ डायरेक्टर. Next Friday, next movie, you have to prove yourself in this competitive world.
But I think also that's the thrill of it. We all enjoy the thrill of it. Otherwise, we all would have been in office doing clerical jobs, MBA jobs, and we would not be having chosen the field that we are in, because we enjoy the excitement and the nervousness and the thrill that comes with it. And it's a huge high, to be part of something which is in arts, and to create something and to see from something from scratch to turning it on is a huge high, which I don't think any other job could have given. Unless you feel that, please do 9-to-5 job. I don't discourage anyone that don't do, but I mean, as if you are passionate about it, you like it, please pick up, whatever sails your boat.
Yes, absolutely. There are times things go wrong. Nothing is working out, and the reasons which are beyond your understanding. If somebody feels I need to take a break, it is good. Rather than thinking about the same thing, you just take a break 6 months, 1 year. I know an editor, okay, who is editing our film, my film now. He suddenly got something fed up or whatever. 3 years he took a break, went to Australia, did completely something different from editing. After editing 4 to 5 films here, popular films. That is also not wrong. If you want to take a break for 6 months, 1 year or whatever, do something else. Maybe you will come more rejuvenated. You will come with more experiences. You will come with something else. See, whatever works, there is no, as I said that, how to make it here. There is no formula. Whatever works for you, whatever makes you happy and whatever, but keep that passion alive, because without passion, you can't make films.